It has been 1 year since I posted this video. Maybe you've seen it. As of this writing, it's about 70,000 views short of 1 million. It's also been taken and reformatted for other media and has at least 600,000 views that we know of on other people's channels. Jason Seiler and I started Blue Collar Logic on Facebook in March of 2017, and we did very well. But a year later, our page was a ghost ship. One of our videos became the target of organized harassment by radical feminists, and Facebook reset our algorithms so that none of our 80,000 followers would know when we posted a video. They were doing what they could to defend our detractors against free speech. It was time to go, and we went. My immigration piece was our first video made for YouTube. That it took off like it did was a real stroke of luck. Without that early success, we'd probably still be languishing in a dark corner of YouTube trying to get monetized. But we hit a nerve, and a year later we have just over 175,000 subscribers. For that, we are very grateful. It's been quite a year. I thought that it might be interesting to listen to the video again and give my thoughts at this point. First off, we have seen nothing but an escalation of the craziness surrounding illegal immigration. It's an odd thing to live in a country where the concept of having a border is now up for debate. One would think that the very idea of a country has to include boundaries. Truly, I half expect to see Democrats renouncing their citizenship en masse as a gesture of solidarity with every country that is not America. Nobody could have foreseen the moment at the second round of the first Democratic debate in June when all of the present candidates affirmed that if elected, they would support giving free cradle-to-grave health care to any illegal immigrant from any country. Bernie would even throw in dental and free eyeglasses. Who would have thought that even the sacred presidency of Barack Obama would be called into question at the next debate? The so-called cages and concentration camps were not built by Trump, after all. And even the Democrats remember that Obama was known in social justice circles as the deporter-in-chief. Without the possibility of bipartisan cooperation, the border problems went from bad to worse. When I posted my video, none of us had ever heard of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez or Ilhan Omar or the other members of what we now call the Squad. Nobody could have dreamed that an unlikely Texan named Beto O'Rourke would be standing at the border telling lies about Trump in order to boost his bid for the presidency with the deaths of Mexican nationals murdered in an El Paso Walmart. Things have certainly gone from bad to worse at the border. The caravans organized by leftist agitators deep in Central America have taken a devastating toll on poor and politically innocent people. It's hard to gauge the moral darkness of a person who would send families marching 1,000 miles on false promises of a better life, only to be used as pawns in the attempted removal of an unpopular president. Thousands of lives uprooted for the sole purpose of making Donald Trump look like a heartless xenophobe. This by the people who never stop touting their own compassion. Back to the video. I tried very hard to keep up with the comments, but after the first few thousand, I gave up and moved on to other things. I did read enough of them to know that they broke down into several rough categories. First off, I had mentioned never having tools stolen from my open pickup truck while working in LA. And I got a few hundred comments calling me a damn liar. I was regaled with stories of tools vanishing from trucks and job sites all over the country. How these victims of theft were so sure that some American tweaker had not swiped their gear was never clear to me. Tools were gone, illegals were to blame, and I'm a damn liar. That was a popular comment. Also, I was corrected many times for using the word immigrant without always attaching illegal to it. I was told by many people that the word immigrant implies legality, that you can't use that word to describe somebody not here legally. It's an odd claim, and one not supported by dictionaries. I was learning that YouTube is patrolled by people who have picked up a nugget from some other video and will repeat it ad nauseum without ever once fact-checking it. Another popular attack on me was that I was a hypocrite because, as a conservative, I was obviously a free market guy. Controlling a border, I was told, is fixing labor prices. You see, apparently free market means that nothing ever can be done that would limit an illegally produced glut of labor that depresses wages. It's the free market, idiot! Again, somebody somewhere did a persuasive video that made that claim, and his or her supporters found my video by the hundreds. I was also criticized because I had opted not to build a business using the cheap labor of illegal immigrants. Why don't you stop whining and hire these guys, you loser? It's your own fault that you're not doing better. I think some people have a little trouble with basic concepts like those in my video. The one comment category that did give me pause was the one that referred to the greed of employers. The claim was that the real fault lies with those who hire the illegals in order to increase profits. Of course, I had touched on that as regards the home trades, but because that was my lens, I focused on small contractors employing few workers in a market where they had little choice. But the raids in the past weeks at meat processing plants around the South remind us that thousands of illegals are working in these big, noisy factories. I remember the raids conducted by ICE in 2006 and 2008. Tyson Foods was the name that came up most often then. And yeah, what's up with that? How do big food factories with oversight by multiple government agencies get away with hiring hundreds of people with no green cards? Something is fishy about that. But whose greed are we really talking about? Well, every time I buy a tray of chicken at bargain basement prices, I guess the greed is my own as much as anybody's. If, as a people, we continue to demand more and more stuff for cheaper and cheaper prices, then we'll have to accept most of the blame for the continued quest for cheap labor, either here or overseas. This illegal hiring is happening at a large scale in all sorts of businesses all over America. Why do we keep talking about E-Verify and doing nothing about it? Perhaps the so-called real ID that we'll all soon have is a step in that direction. The situation is much like it was. I haven't seen any increase in white dudes working on roofing crews or screeding concrete, nor do the guys who are doing these jobs look furtive or frightened. It's the same as it ever was here in SoCal, and everything is right out in the open. But we are nearing zero unemployment. If this economy continues to boom, there is reason to believe that the illegals still hiding in plain sight all over America might legitimately be asked to stay on, learn English, and get onto the tax rolls. The most important addition to the picture, in my view, is that we are seriously discussing merit-based immigration. Last time I checked, we still had a few million jobs here that were unfilled due to what Mike Rowe calls the skills gap. We need to be training our people for these jobs and accepting immigrants who can fill these jobs, and otherwise continuing to seal the border as best we can. It would really be helpful if Democrats would dial back their Trump hate and let this administration do its job at the border, like the Obama administration was allowed to do, but much more thoroughly. I'm now convinced that a border fence is a necessary part of that effort. If the flow is finally staunched, all of the things I predicted in the second half of the first video will happen, and we will all be better off for it. If you have not yet checked out our channel, I hope you'll do so now. I think that you'll find that Jason and I try to be fair and honest with all of the topics we take on. We get a little rowdy here and there because, after all, there's a war going on, at least in the online segment of America. But we try not to get too crazy. And if you like what you see, share us with your friends and neighbors. Thanks a lot. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, subscribe to our channel and then click the little bell to get notifications.